We belong to the earth. We all belong to the earth. It's not that she belongs to us. It's we belong to her. We belong to her. A strand in the web are we. A strand in the web, I believe. To own it, we cannot dare to dream. It's a web that we didn't weave. A web that we didn't weave. We belong to the earth. We all belong to the earth. It's not that she belongs to us. It's we belong to her. We belong to her.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm Rabbi Barry Silver. This is Cantor Garrett. That was spiritual cantorial leader Andy Sussman. This is Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor meeting at the Carlisle. It's great to be here with you. We celebrate a type of Judaism that merges Judaism and rational thinking. Odd as that might seem, a religion that's actually rational. It's a kind of a novel concept. And we also believe in ecumenical protection of the planet. This is a beautiful way to start out Earth Day. We belong to the earth. It's actually part of the quote by Chief Seattle, said the earth doesn't belong to man, man belongs to the earth. If we actually could see the world in that way, perhaps it would help us to save us from our own self-destruction. And so today on Earth Day, we seek a new paradigm. Not the paradigm where Earth belongs to humans to exploit and to use, not the paradigm where everything was put here just for us, but an understanding that we're part of the web of life and that we need to get that understanding into our head very quickly because we're running out of time. And I believe that the moral issue of our day, the most important spiritual, religious ideal of today is for the peoples of the world to unite around common cause in order to protect the planet. We should honor our father and our mother. Father Time, which is running out, and Mother Earth, which is our only home. There's no planet B. And so we begin with we belong to the earth, and now we continue with Shabbat Shalom.
Please join me. Shabbat Shalom.
Hey.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hey.
Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Hey.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hey.
Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom.
Now it's my pleasure to call up D.B. Grayson to light the Shabbat candles for us. And as is our custom, when you come up here, D.B., if you'd like, you can share some thoughts with the congregation and in cyberspace about Shabbat, or whatever you would like. Here's your microphone.
May this holiday of Shabbat and Passover be one of health and goodness for our friends, our family, and for all people. May these holiday candles bring peace within our souls, goodness and cheer within our hearts, and happiness within our families and in our homes as they spread light on each of us.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotam v'tzivanu להדליק נר של
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov.
Amen.
Amen.
Have any comments you'd like to share with us tonight? All right. Thank you very much, Phoebe. Pleasure to have you join us. And now we're going to have the Kiddush led for us by Nancy Byer. You're welcome to share some thoughts too.
Okay.
Here's the microphone.
Wine gladdens the heart. Wine is a symbol of joy and happiness. We are thankful that we're able to gather to celebrate this weekly holiday of Shabbat and this annual holiday of Passover together tonight and rejoice with the Kiddush, meaning sanctification. We therefore raise the cup in thanksgiving and recite the Hebrew blessing over the wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri haolam.
Amen.
I'm so happy that things are easing up some, that we can be together. And I'm very grateful to Carlisle that we've been able to have this beautiful facility to come here for our services. Thank you.
Thanks. Yes, we are most grateful to the Carlisle for allowing us to be in this beautiful place. Thank you very much. And we appreciate the folks from the Carlisle joining us on this Shabbat. Let there be love.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be a shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be a shelter from life's storms. Ashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Ashkivenu, Leshalom, Behamidenu, Shomrenu Lechaim, Ufros Aleinu, Simchat Shalom Lecha, Ashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Ashkivenu, Leshalom. Let there be love and
once a man who left Judaism and became a Buddhist. And they asked, why is it that you decided to leave your heritage? And he said, well, for me, God was just some word that we mumbled in Hebrew, along with a lot of other Hebrew words we didn't understand. So many people have trouble grasping this concept of God and the Hebrew prayers. This Shabbat celebration, this celebration of Pesach, is for everyone. You don't have to be Jewish to be able to appreciate the world around us and all its blessings. And you don't have to know Hebrew. But I will give a working definition of God that everyone can not only agree to, but it's rather irrefutable. There is a power in this world, a creative power that's in everything, that's beyond everything, and that unites everything. This creative power is in you and me and all living things, but it's greater than you and me because it's permeating this universe. And we give thanks that human beings have been endowed with this creative power that took us from one cell. Each one of us went from one cell to about 100 trillion. Those 100 trillion somehow figured out how to cooperate so that we could see, hear, think, feel, touch, love, eat food, and maybe even throw a frisbee. I mean, all these things are miracles. So if you just give thanks for all your blessings, then that's what we're trying to accomplish tonight. And so we have various prayers. Just think of them as different ways of expressing our gratitude. So we read responsively before we begin these series of prayers. You can find it up on the big screen. If you can see that screen and read the words, then you should have gratitude that you have good eyesight. As for me, I got it right here. May the door of this community be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for fellowship together.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of this community be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and hostility.
May its threshold be a gateway to shared feelings, healing memories, rekindled dreams.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May this community be, for all who enter, a doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
We continue with the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
And now we continue with Roll Into Dark.
Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Ray on the light, Golel midne kosher, Golel midne kosher, kosher midne
Creator of night and dark.
Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night.
Marvel at life. Strive to know its ways.
Seek truth, wisdom, and truth, the gateways to life's mysteries. Wondrous indeed is the evening twilight.
One of the great icons of Orthodox Judaism was Maimonides. Maimonides lived about 1,000 years ago, and he said, if you want to understand God's ways, look to nature. It's got his fingerprints all over it. And so today we celebrate nature. The best evidence of a power greater than ourselves, and the best way to feel at one with this power and to recognize that we are one with everything. And so in this celebration of unity and harmony, we stand now as we sing the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך. ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברתם בעם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Now, if you want to know what all that means, it's Ve'ahavta means you shall love. So it means that when we regard this world and other living things, we should try our best to approach everything in a spirit of love. What that means is to recognize the kinship between us and everything and to be concerned for their welfare. Now we're going to continue with a Passover song, Standing at the Sea, the Mi Chamocha. This is the climax of the Passover story. Before we do the standing at the sea, though, we're going to have another responsive reading. Today for us is a new day on earth. Let us live it in awe and wonder how everything works.
Should the trees cease to grow, should the sun cease to glow, should our hearts cease to beat, we are thankful time and again that our world is complete.
I can think, I can breathe, I can hope, I can sneeze, I can laugh, I can cry, I can pray.
For the wonder each day, for the strength like May, for the power to say, we are stewards of the earth.
Standing at the sea.
You should know this by now. If not, hear it and sing along. Standing at the sea, Bichamocha, standing at the sea, Bichamocha, standing at the sea, Bichamocha, freedom is on our way. Singing and dancing, Bichamocha, singing and dancing, Bichamocha, singing and dancing, Bichamocha, freedom is on our way. Freedom
once asked Albert Einstein how he was able to come up with this incredible formula, E = mc squared. And his response was, I've always asked questions as a child, and as an adult, I kept asking these questions, but I was able to try to understand the answer with my adult mind. What he was trying to say is that we would do very well to retain the natural curiosity of our childhood. And in a similar way, we Jews believe that we should retain the original spirituality of our ancestors. When they looked at the world around them and filled with awe, broke out into prayer. But today, we're able to understand the world around us as an adult with the aid of science and reason and so many wonderful discoveries. And so we have this reading here about teshuvah. Teshuvah is a very important word. It means to return. What that means is that we seek to return to the idealism, to the curiosity that we had as children, to the pristine values of our ancestors. We try to return to that. Not necessarily all the beliefs that they had, but their desire to try to understand the world around them and to give thanks. We would not be in very good shape if we returned to thinking the exact same way as we did when we were 3. Hopefully we've progressed beyond that intellectually, but hopefully our spirit is still, as a child, able to appreciate and wonder about the world around us. There is a word in Hebrew, teshuvah, that means return. It is an acknowledgement that there is always a chance for forgiveness, redemption, and change.
Our traditions teach that Passover is open to all. Everyone is welcome at the table. There is always room.
Because no one is ever turned away. There's always an opportunity for a rebirth of spirit, and according to the Torah, when the Jews left Egypt, they took a bunch of non-Jews with them. Other people who were fed up living in a society that enslaved others. Just like in Russia today, you see many Russians protesting and demonstrating and some fleeing, because even though they're part of that nationality, they want freedom. That is the goal of Passover and the goal of Shabbat. We honor our ancestors, not when we repeat everything they did, but when we stand on their shoulders, learn from them, and take their idealism to the next level. So we read the Avot v'Yimahot in honor of our ancestors. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor V'Hanora El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chazdei Avot v'Imahot, Mevi Geula Livnei Bneihem L'man Shmo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah, Ta Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim B'Chol Yom Yehalalu Chasela, Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Now we sing yet another song, giving thanks for this world, an ancient ideal expressed with a modern version. A creative power flows inside of me, which can be traced back to antiquity. And as reason makes clear, species rise then disappear, and evolution led to you and me.
Something in the wind whispers God's name, but our view of God has not remained the same. As I gaze toward the sky, I don't see a bearded guy. Evolution best explains for whence we came.
I'm giving thanks for the world and the works of creation, and the greatest explanation I can find is that a process profound is occurring all around, evolving from amoebas to mankind. refrain from singing the refrain.
When I fully use my heart and mind, and when faith and science are at last aligned, the evidence makes clear how all living things got here. We evolved through time, but we are not designed.
Miracles abound in you and me. We're a product of the heavens and the sea. The remnants of a superstar describe exactly who we are. And the same is true for all life that we see. I'm giving thanks for the world and the works of creation, and the greatest explanation I can find is that a process profound is occurring all around, evolving from amoebas to mankind. Evolving from amoebas to mankind. Now, some may think that I'm engaging in hyperbole by saying that you and I are superstars, but we do know that every atom in our body, every heavy element, heavier than hydrogen, every one of them was forged in the interior of a star that compressed at its end stage of life and then exploded in a supernova. And when it compressed, it formed the heavy elements in our bodies and scattered them into space. So think about it. Every atom in our body was formed billions of years ago, billions, trillions of miles away, and was captured and became us, and became every living thing on the planet. And we give thanks for that miracle, and never underestimate us superstars. Now we're going to have a few moments of silent meditation in order to consider our freedom. Think about, what are we doing with our freedom? Are we using it properly to maximize our potential and the potential good that we could do in this world? And we spend a few moments to give thanks for our blessings. As we recite or listen to some music and also to our heart, we also mention the names of those who are ailing: Michelle Bernstein, Robert Bluttinger, Huey Cohen, Bruce David, Teresa DeRoches, David Deitch, Bob Druss, Donna Field, Wendy Frank, Laura Gallagher, Richard Glass, Sherry Glass, Renee Golub, Erwin Gross, Arthur Hoffman, Linda Kennedy, Carol Kramer, Dr. Sudhir Nair, Linda Pruskin, Bernard Rosen, Fred Spieloff, Naomi Volan, and Carol Kahn. And we hope that they will, any other names?
Sidel Newstein,
Thank you, yes?
Cantor, and Kimberly White.
Thanks, anybody else? Yes, sir.
Karen Lerner.
Thanks. Anybody else? We hope all of them, and also those that we have not named who are ailing, we hope they will receive help from a creative power within them and beyond. And the result hopefully will be in a fuwa shlema, complete restoration to good health. Let us say amen, and enter into a few moments of silent meditation. Before Carol sings the next song, one of her originals. The words to the song are the fastest prayer ever said in the Torah. Moses' sister Miriam complains that he married someone who's not of the same stock, who's dark-skinned, comes from a different tribe. And God is so upset with her racism and her intolerance that he gives her leprosy, as if to suggest, you like white? I'll show you white. And Moses is shocked and horrified. And he doesn't have time to say a long prayer. So he says, Rafana, heal her. And those words, Rafana, indicates that rabbis need to learn to be less verbose. I'm still trying to learn that lesson. And that we should be quick when we offer our thanks and our prayers. And so Carol has turned that into a beautiful song, El Na Rafana La.
God, please, oh please, heal her. Elna Refanali, oh please, heal me. Elna Refanala, my friend, please, oh please, heal him. Elna Refanalanu, please, oh please, heal us. Elna Refanala, oh please, heal her. Elna Refanali, oh please, heal me. Elna Refanala, my friend, please, oh please, heal him. Elna Refanalanu, please, oh please, heal us.
Now we come to the Torah service. We're going to skip the normal sequence and go back and read again the story of Exodus, the Exodus from Egypt, because we're celebrating Passover. This is the last night of Passover, and I'm sure you're aware the reason why we celebrate Passover for 7 days. Time matzah's on, and we still are learning these lessons of freedom and liberation all these thousands of years later. And so before the Torah reading, we have a responsive reading to lead into it. When Torah entered the world, freedom entered it.
The whole Torah exists only to establish peace.
Its highest teaching is love and kindness.
What is hateful to you, do not do to any person.
That is the whole Torah. All the rest is commentary. Go and learn it.
Those who study Torah are the true guardians of civilization.
The blessing before the Torah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach L'Olam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach L'Olam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. You might have seen this before. Kind of hard to make it out, but there's a little hand at the end with a finger that's called the Yad. Yad in Hebrew is hand. And Hebrew is an interesting language. In English, if you have more than one thing and you want to make it plural, you add an S. Usually, sometimes like crisis, crises. Sometimes there's exceptions, but usually you add an S, make it plural. Hebrew has singular and plural, but they also have dual. They have a separate ending for things that come in pairs, that there's two of. So you have yad, yadayim, right? You have leg is regel, raglayim, ayin, einayim, ozen, oznayim. And so this is called a yad, and we use the yad in order to read from the Torah without touching it with our hand, because we don't want to get our hands on the Torah because it's rather sacred, and so we refrain from doing that. V'yildefu Mitzrayim achreihem v'yasigu otam chinim al hayam kol sus v'chev paro v'farasav v'chelo al pi hazirot livnei ba'al zfon. The Egyptians are now chasing after the Jews, and they got all their chariots and their horses and their warriors, and they are now approaching the Jewish people. Ufaro hikriv v'yis'u b'nei Yisrael et eineihem v'hinei Mitzrayim nosea achreihem. And Pharaoh is also coming after them, and the Jews lift up their eyes and they look, and they can see them coming closer. Vayomru el Moshe hamibli en tvachim b'Mitzrayim v'kachotano lemut b'midbar. And we've read this before, and you may remember that when the Jewish people were at their wits' end, they thought this was it. They thought they were about to die. What do? They crack a joke. They use humor. They say to Moses, weren't there enough graves in Egypt to bury us there? That you had to bring us out into the wilderness so we would die out here? Mazot asita. What is this that you have done? L'hotzienu mimitzrayim, that you've brought us out of Egypt. Hotzienu is like motzi. Motzi means to bring bread out of the earth. L'hotzienu mimitzrayim. Why did you bring us out of Egypt? Halo, zo hadavar asher dibanu elecha. And that's the same meaning in 3,000 years ago. Hello? You know, it's like, isn't this what we told you would happen? That's what we said to you. B'Mitzrayim, lemor, v'dal mimenu, v'na'avda et Mitzrayim, ki tov lanu avod et Mitzrayim, mimutenu b'midbar. We told you it would have been better for us to live as slaves in Egypt than die in the wilderness. This is the exact opposite of Zelensky. It's the exact opposite as Stéphane Charbonnier, who was threatened by Muslim terrorists who said, stop printing these articles about Islam. And he said, Je préfère mourir debout que vivre sur les genoux. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. These people had been enslaved for so long that fighting spirit had disappeared, and they preferred slavery. Vayomer Moshe et ha'am al tira'u v'hityatsev u'ra'u et Yeshua Adonai asher ya'aseh lachem hayom. And he said, don't be afraid. Sit back and watch the deliverance that you will receive today. Asher hayitem et Mitzrayim hayom lo tosafu lirotam od ad olam. You see those Egyptians over there? This is the last time you'll ever see them forever. Adonai yilachem lachem va'atem hazrashun. God is going to fight your battle for you, and you shall be saved. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe. God's listening to all this, and he says to Moses, Ma titzach elai? Why are you crying out to me? Daber b'nei Yisrael v'yis'u. Stop talking to me and tell the Jewish people, get moving. And so that's another lesson for us. Stop useless prayers for divine intervention. Get going and start doing something yourself. The blessing after the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Now, if you look at the program, we no longer have a Shabbat service. We're not serving deities, we serve humanity. We have a Shabbat celebration, and we no longer have a sermon. I'm not going to sermonize. I'm just going to share some insights. We have an inspirational message, some insights, most of which the germ and the genesis of it I picked up from my dad along the way. I was extremely fortunate to have a father who was a rabbi. He had an amazing sense of humor and was a spellbinding speaker. His name was Rabbi Silver. I'm just a little sliver of that silver. And I try to do my best to remember some of the things that he said and to remember some of his jokes as well. But I'll point out to you some of his observations and perhaps embellish them a little bit. In the Torah, one of the plagues was darkness. Darkness was a particularly scary, threatening plague to the Egyptians. Why? Because they worshiped the sun god. You ever heard of Ramses? Well, the M-E-S-E-S in Ramses means son of. And historians believe that Moses, his name is son of, and it was shortened from something else. He was Egyptian, our historians believe, and he perhaps launched monotheism for the Egyptians, because there was an Egyptian pharaoh, Ikhnaton, who was the first to conceive of monotheism in Egypt, and he lived around the same time that Moses is supposed to have lived. And so Ramses means the son of Ra, and Ra means the sun. And we think that's maybe where the word ray comes from. A ray of light is derived from Ra. Ramses was the sun god. They believed he was godlike. And the top god in Egypt, like many primitive cultures, was the sun. And so when the sun went out, when darkness plagued Egypt, that was a sign. Our daddy in the sky is more powerful than your daddy in the sky. The Jewish God is superior to yours because he just shut him out. And he just took away his light. And that's when the Egyptians got a little scared. And the courtiers of Pharaoh said, hey, let these people go. Can't you see the writing on the wall? Perhaps he would have, but the Torah says God hardened his heart. Said the darkness was palpable. It was like nothing anyone ever seen before. It wasn't just your garden variety darkness. It was so dark, it says, that a man couldn't see his brother. And he uses that term, ach. Ach means brother. You know, it's kind of interesting. Do you know how to say brother in Arabic? Ach. It's the same word. Doesn't that tell us something? Maybe we should try to look at Muslims and Arabs as our brothers, and maybe they should try to look at us the same way. How sad it is that people who are so close linguistically, etymologically, and religiously, and biologically, that we're fighting with each other. They couldn't see their brother. But there's another meaning to that. The other meaning is they couldn't see that the Jewish people were their brothers. They couldn't see the common humanity in other people who were so closely related to them. And so they treated them like an object. And when you do that, you not only cause suffering for the other, you also cause suffering for yourself. When you teach a child not to step on an insect, you help that insect. When you help the child, you help teach the child to have a heart, to think of others. And when you do that, that child is elevated to another level. And so the sin, the fault of the Egyptians, they couldn't see that the people of Israel were their brothers. And what happened when the Jews got out? Did they seek revenge? Did they want to go after the Egyptians? Moses said this, "You are commanded from henceforth, forever, after this experience, to see other people as your brother, to love not just your neighbor." No, that paraphrase of what Jesus said, which comes from Leviticus, which was not original, that's Jewish scripture. That's the one everybody remembers. They don't remember this line, love the stranger as yourself. The word stranger is ger in Hebrew. Ger means, literally, it's an immigrant. It's not just a stranger. It means someone who's not of your stock, someone who's from a different tribe, different ethnic group, a different racial group. Because the Jews were treated differently because of their race. And so they were commanded to love the stranger as yourself and to teach this to the world. That's our jury duty, Jewry. And we can't shirk it. That's our purpose. V'ahavta et hager kamocha. Love the stranger as yourself. And in this day and age, on Earth Day, we'd be well to recognize we should love all living things and all creatures. Because truly, what Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. Treating other people or other living things as an object and treating the earth and the planet as an object to exploit, that is something that's going to come back to haunt us just as surely as it haunted Egypt. And just as Pharaoh was literally in denial, N-I-L-E, when the Nile was turning into blood and he couldn't see what was going on, we are also in denial because of climate change. Come hellish fires of the high waters of the seas, we just don't get it. We can't see the forest or the trees as we annihilate an acre of land every second. We are clueless as Pharaoh, whose heart was hardened. Our heart is hardened to other living things and other creatures that we share the planet with. And because of that, we will suffer the same fate as Pharaoh and Egypt. Because the plagues that he suffered are the same plagues that we're suffering now with climate change and with arrogance, intolerance, and indifference. And we, my friends, we have the cure for it. The cure for intolerance, the vaccine is love. And so we are commanded to try to overcome these tendencies. What was the response to being slaves in Egypt? It didn't make us bitter. It made us better. It didn't bring out the beast in us. It brought out the best in us. And when we have people who don't treat us properly, when we have people who do bad things to us, we can treat them the same way. All it does is bring us down to their level. All it does is make us imitate the behavior that we find so offensive. But the Torah is trying to tell us, don't treat people the way they treat you. Treat them the way they should treat you. That's what my dad told us when we were kids. Always, that was his message. And the message on Earth Day, treat the earth like your mother. Treat it with respect, because this is our only home. And the miracles that happen every day on earth are just inconceivable. We're just barely learning how amazing and miraculous life is and how extraordinary the process of evolution was that led to us. Let us keep this in mind every day. Let us observe this on this Passover when we celebrate the rebirth of nature. Let us observe it on Shabbat when we celebrate creation. And let us, on this day, when 3 holidays have come together this month, Easter, Ramadan, and Passover. On this day when Shabbat and Passover morph into Earth Day, when you have this conjunction of all of these holy days, let all of these days remind us that religion must be transformed. No more can religion say, we're going to heaven and you're going somewhere else. Our book is real and your book is fake. Our Father loves us and he doesn't like you. Those days are over. Religion must be transformed so that we see all of us Everyone is family, all of us as brothers and sisters, all of us on a common goal, a common effort to try to save the planet from our own greed and to try to prevent wars and violence towards each other, and to finally see the day when all of our brothers. And I'll share this one more story with you of my father. He told this, and somebody came up to me like 5 years later and said, "Remember that story your dad told?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I do remember. That was a good one." So the rabbis are sitting around, might have heard me tell this before. They're trying to figure out, when does the dawn start? Because they got a whole bunch of prayers they got to do at dawn. They got to say all these different prayers. When does the dawn start? How do we know that it's dawn? So one of them said, well, when you can make out the difference between blue and purple, then you know that it's dawn. No. If you can see that if there's no more stars in the sky, you can't see any more stars in the sky, then you know it's the dawn. And no, another rabbi said, no. When you can see the face of a friend in the eyes of a stranger, then you'll know that you've seen the dawn of a new day. Let us be part of bringing in this dawn of a new day. And let us use religion to build bridges of understanding and knock down those walls of separation. Shabbat Shalom. Chag Sameach.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi. From your mouth to the earth's ears.
Now we have a song dedicated to the protection of planet Earth. There comes a time when we're heating up the world and the earth is threatened as it warms. There are species dying, and it's time to take a stand for life in all its varied forms. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who can save the earth if we all pitch in. You can join us. There's a choice we're making, we're saving our own lives. We can help make a cooler earth, just you and me. Yes, we can help make a cooler earth, just you and me.
There comes a time when we must turn off fake news and begin to face reality. The debate is over, there's no time left to lose. Saving Earth, it's up to you and me.
We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who can make a change through conservation. There are glaciers melting, and it's time to take a stand. We can all help save the earth, just you and me. Yes, we can all help save the earth, just you and me. CO2 now fills the atmosphere, and its level must begin to fall. And our goal is clear, 350 parts per million must become the target of us all. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who can save the earth if we all pitch in. There are oceans rising, and it's time to take a stand. We can help make a cooler earth, just you and me. Everyone. We can help make a cooler earth, just you and me. Now we continue with the Aleinu. Please stand for the Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach L'Dor Va-Dor, L'Tei Gedula L'Dor Bereshit, Shalom Asanu Gyoreh Aratzon, Velo Savanu K'mishbechu
Now we have a video. Please remain standing for the, oh, I've been overruled. Please sit down, have a seat, relax. We have Cantor Jennifer Werby singing El Mole Rachamim.
El male rachamim, shochin bamromim, hamtzeh menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashchina. במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים. את נשמות כל אלה שהזכרנו היום לברכה, תסתירם בסתר כנפך על עולמים, ותצרור בצרור החיים את נשמותיכם, וינוחו על משכבותם ושלום.
You might wonder what that was about. That's called Yizkor. Certain times of the year, certain holidays like Pesach, Passover, we have Yizkor where we remember our loved ones with a very special ceremony. We sing El Male Rachamim. Literally, El is God, Male is full of, and Rachamim is compassion. But the word Rachamim comes from Rechem. Rechem means the womb. And Rechem, from the womb, comes Rachamim, indicating that our ancestors believed that God possessed qualities that seem to be possessed, especially by women. And in Arabic and the Muslims, when they pray, they start at El Rahim. Rahim comes from the same root, Rechem, another indication of what we have in common. There's another word for God, which is called El Shaddai. Anybody ever hear of that? El Shaddai. El is God Shaddai, It actually comes from there's two hypotheses. It comes from the Hebrew word for the human breast. Because again, it was seen that God was a source of nurturing and of life. It also could come from dai, as in dayenu, it's enough. Shaddai is that which is enough, that God provides enough for us to be able to live. But either way, God is not associated with one gender or another, it's beyond all gender. And El Melech Hamim indicates that when Jewish people lose someone precious, we give thanks. We consider life to be so precious. Even when it's taken away from us, we don't think, oh, that's horrible, it's taken away. We think how wonderful that we have that life and that we have the ability to remember. So now we're going to read the 23rd Psalm, which has been revisited. It's I've written it in modern form. I might leave out a line or two because I thought I had it with me, but I don't. So I'm going to do it by memory. 23rd Psalm uses many symbolic images that reflect a God of, to me, a bygone era. This 23rd Psalm represents and reflects and gives thanks for that creative power which we know to be true. The world is my treasure, I shall not want. I rejoice in green pastures that provide our daily bread. I give thanks for oceans, rivers, lakes, and streams, the sources of life. Let us protect their purity for the earth's sake and for the sake of all future generations. My enemies are vanquished when I make them my friend. Surely mortality surrounds me, but I fear no evil. For reason and love, they comfort me. I have no need of false gods. My cup overfloweth, my Yiddish cup overfloweth with emet, and my heart rejoices with tzedek. Surely good things, love, and joy will follow me all the days of my life, because I live and dwell in the abode of love forever. Amen. And now we're going to have Kaddish. Please stand as we recite the Kaddish. We mentioned those who have recently been taken from us. Steve Adler Golden, Cheryl Ehrlich, Sherry Hyman, Richard Kahn, David Levine, Jane Rosenblum, Elaine Silver, Ruthie Winehouse, those fighting on both sides of this conflict in Ukraine, and those who have perished because of environmental collapse and other calamities. And we also invite you to mention it. Yes?
Harriet Friedman.
Thank you. Yes?
Harry Rich.
Anybody else? We hope that their memory will inspire us to try to emulate their fine qualities so that we can make up in some small measure for the lack that this world is now experiencing by their absence. And perhaps we can perpetuate what was good and noble in their lives. And if we do that, then we indeed make their memory a blessing. We read the Kaddish. Yiskadal, Yiskadash, Shemei Rabba. V'yomad Yivrach Ruseh, v'yamnich Machuseh. V'chayachon, v'yomechon, v'chayeh, v'chol Beis Yisrael. V'agalav Yisman, Chachi, v'imru Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabba, miborach le'olam, umei umayan. Yisborach, v'yistabach, v'yisboar, v'yischomam, v'yisnaseh. V'yisadar, v'yisalev, v'yisalam. Shemei Kedusha, v'yichud. Le'elam ekov v'yachasa v'shirasa. Fish v'chasa v'nechamasa. Ta'am Yavon v'yomah v'yimru Amen. Yehi Shlom Rabba min Shmaya v'chayim. Aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Please be seated. At this time, it's my pleasure to call up the brains behind this operation, our technical supervisor, Sharon Leibovitz.
Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, Happy Earth Day to you all. Thank you all for coming, both live and in person here and virtually at home. We have this Sunday, April 24th at 3 p.m., Rabbi Barry and Cantor Carol will be holding a Songs of Passover in Israel on Zoom, and you can find that on our website, and we hope that you'll join us for that. On Tuesday, April 26th at 7 p.m., we will have Andy Sussman, Cantorial Spiritual Leader, bringing us Touch of Torah, our Torah study, our weekly Torah study, along with the touch of music. Also on Zoom, join us for these wonderful Torah experiences and discussions. This Wednesday, April 27th, is a very important day. It's the beginning of Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, and we're going to be observing it with a special guest, not only with Rabbi Barry, but also with a guest Holocaust child survivor, Helen Daniel, who will be sharing some wonderful thoughts with us. We hope you'll join us also on Zoom. Our next week's service will be live and in person at the Mariposa at 9130 Hypoluxa Road in Lake Worth, Friday, April 29th at 7:30 p.m. Our in-person services are also held on Zoom and YouTube for those that cannot be with us live. And we hope that you'll visit us on our l'dorvador.org website. Go to our YouTube channel for a historical presentation of our Shabbat services, our holidays, our discussion groups, and also our Facebook page. On our website, you can find our calendar and the links for all of our Zoom programming and virtual programming. And we hope you'll share L'Dor Va-Dor with friends and family. We wish you a wonderful Shabbat and a happy Earth Day and Chag Sameach Pesach. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. I just want to share with you that some of you may know that my brother is a professional comedian. And I think he got that from my dad. He told a lot of jokes. We had 5 boys growing up and we were all joking around all the time. And so he started telling jokes, and he began his career by reading a book of insults. And he was very good at insulting people. He still is. He's really good. And he had this insult that he would say, "You're so narrow-minded that you have to stack your ideas vertically." And he said, "You're so narrow-minded, you can look through a keyhole with both eyes." And I'm reminded of that because the Egyptians were very narrow-minded. They couldn't see the brotherhood of all people. And the word Mitzrayim means a narrow strait. It's a geographical term, 2 straits. Remember I said things that come in pairs or ayim, like yad, yadayim? Mitzrayim is a dual form of a metzel, which is a strait. Egyptians were very, very narrow-minded. When we were liberated from Egypt, there's a spiritual meaning to that. If we want to be free, we must liberate ourselves from our narrow-minded way of thinking. And the first form of liberation, the most important form perhaps, is to liberate ourselves from old concepts that religion often teaches, that we are enslaved by a divine dictator in the sky who controls us and tells us what to think and what to do. We are free, and the best way to be free is to free ourselves from the old and the antiquated and to adopt a new way of thinking. That's what it means to be free, to liberate the mind from indoctrination. We all have types of indoctrination. And I hope, my blessing, my hope, my desire on this Shabbat and this Passover is that the human species will liberate ourselves from fossil fuels, and that we will no longer dance chic to chic with oligarchs who think they have us over a barrel, and their slick political allies who promise us an Orwellian future, and that we will liberate ourselves from fossil fuels so that we will no longer be destroying ourselves every time we drive or every time we use energy. And we will no longer support financially or in any other way dictators who are murdering people in Ukraine, who are sponsoring genocide in other lands, and we will be free to be able to have our own sources of energy, which will, in that day, liberate us ourselves from dictatorships, liberate our planet from fossil fuels, and will create an economic boom for our country where we can actually bring in wealth instead of sending it over to regimes that do not have our best interests in mind. Let us all work towards that day and exercise our right in a democracy to elect leaders who are not clueless, but can actually see in more of a broad-minded way and no longer guide us in narrow-minded channels. Amen.
Amen.
Now we're going to have a song about Ukraine, and then I think we eat, and then we have Atikva. There's a song I wrote about the struggle in Ukraine. Listen, children, to a story that is taking place right now of a people crowned with glory who stand tall and will not bow. Russia has attacked the nation after decades of oppression. With courage and determination, Ukraine resists this cruel aggression. Go ahead and love your neighbor, from a stranger make a friend. Make it your last labor, see the day when war shall end. Then you'll hear the trumpets blaring with the dawn of a new day, a world of peace and caring. Let Zelensky lead the way. Listen, children, to a story of a people proud and free, whose brave soldiers achieve glory, resisting Russian tyranny. Today the world itself is united in defense of the Ukraine. May Putin one day be indicted to bring an end to all this pain. Go ahead and love your neighbor, from a stranger make a friend. Make it your life's labor, see the day when war shall end. Then you'll hear the trumpets blaring with the dawn of a new day, a world of peace and caring. Let Zelensky lead the way. Putin thought that he could frighten the Ukrainian people into submission. He did not expect that they'd be fighting to stop his naked, cruel ambition. Together they held off the Russians in defense of liberty. Their valor will have repercussions throughout human history. Go ahead and love your neighbor, from a stranger make a friend. Make it your life's labor, see the day when war shall end. Then you'll hear the trumpets blaring with the dawn of a new day, a world of peace and caring. Let Zelensky lead the way. Thank you so much. And now we have the most beautiful national anthem ever. To conclude, we have Hatikva. Please stand. אותם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון, ירושלים. Please be seated. We have a final video for you, 6:13.
Nation of Israel was tired and sore, praying for redemption someday. Moshe Rabbeinu came and burst through the door. He said, hey, let us out of this country. And saying no to God, roar on a plague attack. You ought to know by now. All that hard work gave us broken backs, but then we were gone in a hurry. Well, the Pharaoh, he changed his mind. Yeah, but we never had it down. Matzah's bread can't rise up. It's time to move out. We're moving out of Egypt. Oh, Clean the house, change pants, strangers in a strange land, celebration, Jewish liberation. Reading from the Haggadah, Adirhu and Chagadah, 10 plagues, 4 sons, who knows one? I know one. Keep the house clean, Father buffer to Zuzim, Geffen Liebers and Kedem, next year in Jerusalem. Dainu, Charosed, we sold all of our Hamid. Tell me what is all this for? I can't take much more, Maro. God set a bush on fire, Moses saw it burn, and still today we're learning. God set a bush on fire, and when we are gone, we'll see the flame